Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Baxter. This is my discussion for Module 4 of dba625 at City University of Seattle. I'm just going to jump right in. I did a couple readings this week. The first one was from Saban in a book called How Good Do You Want to Be? And the big takeaway from that book was just being rigorously honest with where you're actually at. If you have any goals in moving forward, it's great. But if you don't know where you're at, you'll never be able to get to where you want to be. And so, without dwelling on that too long, because I want to talk about some other stuff, moving on to Anderson, and he talks about there being two main types of leaders: the charismatic and the transformational. And underneath those two, there are many sub leadership styles. The one I fall into is called authentic, and that comes with some really good stuff and some really bad stuff. And the good stuff about being an authentic leader is you're really good at leading a small amount of people for a moderate amount of time. Really great at setting and making goals, really good at learning from other team members, really good teaching other team members. Some of the bad stuff, or not as great stuff, is that though you are transparent and honest, you expect everyone to work as hard as you're working. And honestly, the authentic leader burns people out and burns themselves out pretty quickly, and I've noticed that to be the case with me. And then moving on to Brett. And there were so many great things about the reading this week. I'm going to touch on just a couple of them. So the first thing that I thought was great, before we get to like the different stages of leadership, was just the different stages of development. He talks about the conformer stage. It starts around age 11 or 12. I might argue from personal experience it might start a little bit earlier with girls. Just from being a softball coach, and maybe it's because they're in a team environment, they're kind of pushed for this a little bit more, but you'll see the 9 and under girls are really individual, and then the 10 and 9 and or the 10 and 11-year-old team, they're all wearing their hair the same, they all wear the same stickers, they all wear the same chants, and really on the teamwork side, when one of them does well, they're all really excited and they're all really part of that. And if you just look one field over to what the little boys are doing, you'll see somebody get a double or a home run, and people will cheer, but you can almost see the jealousy. They're happy for their team, but they wish they would have been able to be the ones to do it. But they'll be there in another year or two. And in my personal experience, well, it talks about here, the price to pay for being part of the group is loyalty and obedience, and as such, they accept norms and rules without question or objection. And I really feel like this part of development really carries over, especially for those of us who volunteer to be in the military or police force, or a lot of different types of jobs that really are kind of a really tight-knit group. You, one, will do whatever to be a part of that group, which is really good and it's really bad. You would never allow, the same age person would never allow a college professor to get in their face and scream at them. And you accept that as being part of the initiation rites in the military, that some person is going to scream in your face a lot. And that's just part of initiation to being in the group. And this leads to you wanting to be a real expert in your field. You get through, and whether you're a carpenter or a bricklayer or an infantryman or whatever, you spend the next several years being an expert. And you expect that leadership then is in small doses, in small groups. You move into that expert stage, and I can tell you, my couple of folks that I'm in charge of, exactly how to do this because I have the experience and I've done it before. And whenever the expert is looking for, according to Brett, whenever the expert is looking for direction, he wants someone who has been there longer than him and has more experience in him. And it's one of the things that really hurts a lot of officers in the military and those who promote quickly, that the core group of non-commissioned officers, or NCOs, sergeants if you will, generally have a hard time with young people fresh out of college, officers, and young people who are really good at taking tests and promote quickly, because they just don't have the experience that that the expert leader wants them to have, right? And I was honestly really scared whenever I was reading through this, that I was going to read all the way through all the different leadership styles, and I was going to be stuck at the very first one. But I wasn't. Whenever I got to the achiever, I read it, and I absolutely, honestly feel that I'm at the very low end of achiever and the high end of expert. It says, unlike experts, achievers are aware that leadership is about motivating others, and they associate the behaviors of others with underlying motivation rather than character traits of a person. And that is true for me personally. I will manipulate people to get the job done. Not in a bad way, but if I know if Tim, for example, Tim doesn't do well with being overwhelmed, so I give him small amounts of work at a time. And he likes being bragged on in front of other people, so I do that. Whereas Jimmy might absolutely thrive on being overwhelmed and having too much to do. And he likes being picked on. That makes him feel like it's part of the team. I can do that. I can do whatever you need me to do to make it so that we meet our goals. And that's why I don't think I'm any higher on the list than achiever. But I got room to grow. When we get over to chapter 10, we're talking about the 9 different parts and whatnot. I feel like I absolutely fit really, really well with 2 completely different parts of that: the individualist and the challenger. The individualist desires to express himself. Here I am. And there's an avoidance of the mundane, and that's absolutely true for me too. It's really hard for me to settle down and do readings and to have the same routine every day. But at the same time, if I look at the challenger, it says they're motivated to act, and they lead from the front, and they're decisive and empowering, and I absolutely am. And I can be demanding to people, and I can be. And it says that I can become vengeful, and if I'm honest with myself, I can be, but I, in the last several years, have really not acted on that kind of behavior. I am absolutely okay with someone else being in charge of a project until they stall out, and I will take the reins from them and move on so that we can make our mission. It says here that challengers lead from the front, and they love getting things done. They want to control and aren't afraid to make decisions. They're passionate, and it's okay for them to disrupt and existing markets, and they like to start new ventures. All of that is true about me. So, long video short, after doing the several readings, I was able to, from Sabin, be honest with myself about where I'm actually at. With Anderson, know that I'm an authentic leader, and that's both good and bad. And then with Brett, I can appreciate how people have come up through and they hang on to different traits that they carry over from one to the next, and you don't lose everything, like conformity or appreciating experience when you move on to the next. And I can absolutely say that I fall somewhere in between expert and achiever. And then finally, I firmly fall somewhere between being individual and wanting to express myself like I am now, and challenging and demanding as a supervisor. And I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you guys all face-to-face, guys and gals, all face-to-face on Saturday. Thank you so much.